Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to our last of our current damage prevention webinar series. There's a few people still joining, so I'll give everybody a couple of seconds just to get logged in. All right, I think we'll get going. So as I mentioned, this is the last in the series. We've run a number of webinars over the last 6 months or so. And along that journey, along the webinar journey, you've learned to how to manage DOB for dig responses with plan access. You've learned how we can automatically respond to DOB for dig requests and proactively defend your assets and infrastructure networks. You've learned how to leverage the DOB for dig inquiry to manage permit workflows for road excavations. So at the centre of all of these solutions is the need to have accurate and reliable data. They all depend on spatial information. They all depend on highly reliable data sets to function and to be provide great information to those who's consuming them. So today in this 45-minute session, myself and one of my colleagues will focus on demonstrating how utilities and owners of underground infrastructure can improve the capture and management of infrastructure data in the field. So really, I guess, in the real world, collecting the absolute highest precision, accurate data, and then bringing it back into the back office. So Geolantis360 is an awesome cloud solution to improve field-based data utility collection and inspections with smart workflows and integration to precision GNSS and locating equipment. So it's very exciting for us. Pelican Corp, as some of you are probably already familiar, is a global leader in the damage prevention space. So having now a tool that allows us to work with our customers to really improve the condition, the accuracy and the location of GIS and asset-based information is very exciting. So my name is Nick Holly. I'm the Australia Pacific Sales Director for Pelican Corp. Joining me and doing the lion's share of the webinar today is Nick Bruce. He's the product manager for Geolantis360. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, how are you going?
So today we're going to cover off I guess, a fairly comprehensive and a bit of a deep dive into Geolantis. So we'll give you sort of an initial introduction into the product and I guess the positioning of the solution in the industry. Nick will dive into what is Geolantis and give some overall product capability overview for you, and then he and I will kind of exchange on some of the customers that are using Geolantis and what their capability they're gaining from it. And then, as with all of these webinars, we'll open up the field to questions and discussion with you guys, the listeners. You are free to ask questions during the event. So there's a facility inside Teams which allows you to request or publish questions. Go through it as you need and as the question arises, and then we'll get to it at the end. But at this point, I'll hand across to Nick Bruce, the other Nick, and we hope you enjoy the webinar.
Great, thanks very much, Nick Holly. So what I wanted to talk about today, and the slides is coming through now. Here we go, is that we're really at a transitional point in the subsurface assets industry where multiple trends are converging at the moment. So from the fields of high-powered mobile devices, there's exponential growth in data and data management platforms. There's lowering cost of high-precision location services, and yet there's an increase in physical infrastructure cost and complexity. And all of these are converging to drive demand towards integrated damage prevention and asset protection workflows. So what we are seeing is that digital geospatial workflows will move from nice to have to must have. And this is having devices in the field that are able to access and capture data from live systems of record and publish that data to third parties. So as these shifts occur, there'll be, I guess, a mass transformation from manual workflows where we might be using pen and paper in the field and then digitizing that back when we get in the office, to digital workflows where data is brought in and then exported, all within a digital framework. And what this means for companies is they'll find it increasingly that the right to operate will depend on your ability to capture, store and manage as-built geospatial field data. So now, as a global geospatial industry, markets around the world are, I guess, different stages of maturity. And much of this is due to the laws and regulations associated with asset protection, be they national, state or regionally based. It's not necessarily a kind of like a technology driver in this case. It's very much driven by regulation. In Europe, in many regards, it's the leader in the field of geospatial workflows when it comes to network operators and municipalities. And that was where Geolantis360 evolved over the last 10 or so years, alongside the maturation of the European market. Now in Australia and New Zealand, we are rapidly adopting digital geospatial workflows and making the journey in line with the European market experience. So based on these trends, where we see the industry is heading is that we really believe strongly and quite simply that the future lies in digitising end-to-end asset protection. And so in the process, bringing end-to-end asset protection solutions like Geolantis360 to our customers. So for those of you in the audience who may be learning Geolantis360 for the first time, what does Geolantis360 do? As mentioned earlier, if you have any questions along the way, just throw them into the chat and we can have a discussion afterwards about these. So simply put, Geolantis360 is an integrated web and mobile GIS application for the end-to-end lifecycle management of surface and subsurface assets. So our end users include designers who are creating as-built plans and field crews who are inspecting, repairing or building physical assets, and field managers who may be coordinating and maintaining asset protection programs. Our customers include network operators, local government organisations, asset managers, as well as construction and survey companies. The actual Geolantis360 software solution includes iOS and Android applications for fieldwork, and a cloud-based management platform for office workflows, and that's accessible by a web browser. All the data is synchronized and stored in the cloud and allows field crews to operate without a live connection if need be. And the system has open interfaces that can be integrated with your own existing geospatial data or business workflows. In addition, reports can be generated directly from the software that you can send out to the various third parties that you work with. And it's easy to use and can scale up from small field teams to complete enterprise use. So it really does provide a very flexible solution. And in that sense, you can manage your end-to-end geospatial asset workflow within Geolantis360. So some of our customers might use just a few components of it. Others use a complete end-to-end platform. So that's from importing existing organizational GIS data, to designing asset locations for projects, to sending it out to your work crews to either do physical collection of high precision data or doing inspections of assets in the field, capturing photos, and then loading that back into the software. And then all your data is synced back into the cloud instances that support the application. And then you can export that GIS data either manually or through integrated APIs. So it really does provide you that complete kind of process in which you can do everything from import, plan, collect, inspect, store, and share. Within the sphere of Geolantis, you have all these different components, And as I said, you can really just configure them as required for your goals in your organization and where it suits best. And it's really easy to get started in the application. That's one of the things that's a real benefit, is you don't have to take everything at once. You can just pick the things that are going to be have the most impact when you get started, and then build out as you go forwards. So it's the ability, in my view, for Geolantis to be kind of tailored to suit customer needs that really has kind of seen get the adoption that we've had to date. The application's multilingual and can be used on, and it's used on all continents, as you can see by the heat map that we have here. And that user list is growing weekly. It's really easy to get started, whether you're a small or a large organization, and you can get a trial account and download the field apps, load your project data, and begin collecting. So I'd like to just give you an idea of how the application works and looks. Let's take a look at it in action. Here's just a short video that can give you a bit of an idea of the application itself. So Geolantis has smart and fast data collection. So you can go out in the field and you can log it using high precision devices, or you can manually draw it in the application to record features. If we start getting into looking at if you've got specific background maps that you use in your organization, you can load those in. You can also import your existing project data. So here's some AutoCAD data that's just been brought into the application, and immediately all your layers and features get loaded up into the project. If need be, you can customize your feature class catalogs as well. So you can align what you see in Geolantis with what you currently know within your organization. And then you can design projects. You can do that within the web application itself, and then allocate out field crews using workflows and schedules. When you're out in the field, you can take photos and annotate very easily. So you can go to a asset location, take a photo and capture asset information, and then kind of proceed. And then once you have all the data in your system, you can upload it to your own existing GIS workflows. So just as an example, here it is taking the data and very quickly and easily uploading it into Google Earth, and you can see all the different assets being displayed rapidly and effectively. So it's really very easy to do a lot of the things that your organization would do currently manually, and very quickly transition across to Geolantis360. So if we look at the next step, is what I wanted to go through is, as a product manager, I'm always very interested in understanding what your needs are. And I just thought today is a really good opportunity to try and get some more understanding from you as customers. So what's important to you today? We really, as I said, owe success to you as customers. So I'd like to hear from you. And what I've put together is a quick survey that you should be able to complete wherever you are at the moment, just by accessing the link that we're going to provide in the live chat. So that's going through now. And what you can do is you can click on the link and then use that to vote. And we should see, if technology supports us, the results here. So the question is, what are your primary needs for a field data management system? You can see there's a list of options there that you can choose from high precision data capture. We've seen some things come through there, to APIs for data integration, PDS for as-built and inspected reports. There's a range of things there. So please do vote, and we'll give us some moments for those things to come through. I can see more things coming through now. All right, so it looks like high precision data capture is one of the key things there. Oh no, APIs for data integration is trying to catch up. I feel like a horse race caller at the moment. So it's really interesting to kind of see what's really valuable for you. If none of those things are actually suitable for you, throw in like, what is the thing that you need the application to do into the chat. And because it's your sort of insight that really fuels the future product direction. Look, we're really getting a good balance here. So high precision data capture is a real key one, it sounds like. Well, that's a really good thing about Geolantis360 is that it actually integrates with a lot of the high precision GNS devices that exist on the market today. Great. Oh, thanks everybody for all your input. That's really helpful. All right. Well, I'll keep going as those come through. It looks like we've probably got most of the people that are attending today have voted. All right. Now we're just going to jump into looking at some of the product capability and customer case studies. So if you have any questions, once again, just throw them into the chat and we can visit them towards the end. So one of the first case studies I wanted to run through was Consolidated Power. This is where they were building the wind power network integration project for the 100-day or your money back Tesla battery project, if you're familiar with that. So time was really the essence in this case. And what they were able to do is create the designs in AutoCAD and then load those designs up into the Geolantis software application. With any sort of field design, you had best laid plans, and when you go out into the field, you might realise you have to adjust things. So they walked all the cable pathways and realised that they had to actually modify some of those, and they're able to do that within the Geolantis application. So the as designed maps were drawn, and then you had this as inspected designs that were completed from the field assessments. And what it meant was they didn't actually have to go back to manual-based processes and could automatically communicate those changes back out to their teams in the office. So it just really meant that there was a really rapid turnaround for that project. And as I said, time was of the essence. Nicola, you had another case study that you wanted to go through?
Yeah, City of Gold Coast is a customer of Geolantis, and they had an existing process where they would go out and inspect and survey and locate their hydrants. So if anyone knows the City of Gold Coast, it's arguably, I think it's either the biggest or the second biggest local government area in Australia. And they had something in the order of 35,000 fire hydrants to survey and undertake a study of. And much like the Consolidated Power example, they had their own data about what they had in their GIS and what they understood about those assets. They then used Geolantis to then go and take that data into the field and then capture all of the condition, the type, nature, position, photos, and a whole range of other information about each hydrant. I can't remember the exact number about how many they identified, how many new ones they identified during that process, but it was a lot. And they were also able to, with the high precision locating equipment, to then identify exactly the real position of each of those hydrants. That screen on show now is an example of what the paper form they were using. So they had a clipboard and they would go and tick the boxes and fill out the details for each site. On the right is the output from Geolantis once the survey is done inside the application. Including photo, the position, and all of the questions that were presented in that pink form. It's a really great example of how the data was absolutely improved immaculately from their previous state.
So another example is, and case study is land surveys here in Australia. And the situation is that land surveys needed to capture and have a reporting solution to enable them to do dilapidation surveys for their clients. Now, dilapidation surveys, for those that are not familiar with them, are special purpose property assessment reports where you undertake and provide a visual assessment of construction or cosmetic defects in a building process. So in this case, land surveys, their challenge was that they needed a software solution to enable them to manage a huge number of field-based assessments. So sometimes thousands of photos and associate those as a specific site. They use Geolantis to coordinate the data from their site assessments and then generate the reports for each property using the integrated reporting engine. And the result was that they were able to process customer end-to-end jobs in under a week and often generate reports on the day of the assessment. So you can see once you shift to a digital workflow, just as many of our day-to-day practices over the last 20 years have shifted to having a device in your pocket that's connected to digital systems, things can rapidly speed up in that process.
A sister business of the land surveys company is utility mapping, and they also use Geolantis. Their purpose is somewhat different from the land surveys purpose in that they are out doing utility data collection, survey, ground penetrating radar, utility locating, a whole bunch of very expensive hardware collecting the data. And all of that data is then piped back through Geolantis as they for each project. But a key highlight for utility mapping in this case is the orchestration, organisation of projects that are sent from the office out into the field, so that the project definitions are done, the specific requirements, the equipment needed on site is specified, and then dispatched into the field as a project for their team to go and complete. And then Geolantis is then used in connection with those specific surveying and locating hardwares to then pipe the data back from those devices back into the back office and against that project as well. So it's a really quite a powerful tool for them as far as doing a lot of that data capture and data work, and as well as doing their safety spot 5 checks and the timesheet reporting as well.
And just finally, another case study is in the Netherlands with SYNFRA. And so in the Netherlands, Hercules SYNFRA, they manage around 40,000 or so, 30 to 40,000 house connections a year. And so each connection requires taking the job through a series of design and build and survey steps in order to complete the activity. Now, in the Netherlands, they use a fully digital workflow via the Click Combine Utility Information Exchange. So this is where we talk about the maturity of the European market. They have complete end-to-end regulatory digital geospatial workflows. That's a mouthful, but it's basically saying everything's online. And so their challenge was that they were finding a fully capable system that was able to actually integrate with that workflow and have a GIS workflow end-to-end without having separate tools between stages and separate tools in the field. And that's a common requirement of customers that are doing this sort of end-to-end process, is not trying to cobble together multiple different applications. They just need something that can do it all. So they chose Geolantis because of that, as it was a total solution, and it gave them efficiencies in project quality and in field work. So automatically they were able to improve the cost balance within their projects. So what happens is, from the arrival of an order into the SYNFRA system, they are able to do their design work and field work in Geolantis. And they don't need to go into AutoCAD to do that. And also it means that they don't need to have specialist field surveyors out on every job. They just have highly trained staff that are able to do that design work and modification work, and then record what was in the pit at the end of the job. And they've been using the software for around the last 6 years to manage all their electrical, gas and water connections. As I said, 30,000 connections a year. So we've essentially come to the end of the presentation today, but if there's one takeaway that I'd like you to have, is that over the coming years, digital geospatial workflows will really shift from nice to have to must to have. And I think that's the biggest thing that's occurring. We're really designing the product to support our customers in that journey.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Look, and we are available to answer any specific questions. I've noticed that there's a bunch of questions that have already been asked by the people attending here, but if there's more technical questions and I guess product related questions, our details will be provided up on the screen towards the end. But please note also what we're going to do is share through the Teams system a bunch of content to all of you that you can download. It'll take you to a link that you can download and find the website, find the knowledge base, all of our publicly available information about Geolantis that will help you answer as many of those other questions as possible. But it looks like, Nick, we've got a couple of questions here.
Right.
A couple of good ones here. Does it support GNSS? I think the simple answer to that is yes. There's a various number of GNSS services that the application will support, but also, I guess, antenna technologies as well. So I guess check the knowledge bases and find the information there, or talk to one of us and we can walk you through that as well.
Yeah, and it certainly does. And as many of you are aware that you might have different map projections as well, it supports those. So you can ensure that with high accuracy, you're actually getting that replicated within the application.
As well as GDA 2020, Nick, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I've got another question here. How configurable is Geolantis? So that is, it's a really good question, and it's one of these things that is the power of what Geolantis offers, is it's very configurable. And when we talk about it's very configurable, it's not just like, okay, here's an application, you can tailor it with lots of tweaking. You can get started really easily. So if you just have a very basic inspection task you need to do, or field process you want to replicate, you can do that. If you want to actually do it at an enterprise level, where you're looking at creating detailed workflows and API integrations, you can do that as well. And all of those components, whether it's a small scale or a large scale, is configurable. So things that you would expect, like feature categories and classes, you can define those all at a project level. If you're then talking about developing work crews and workflows, you can create those within the application as well.
Another question here. Do you support CAD, GIS and GNSS? Well, the simple answer is yes. So I think as part of one of the videos that Nick showed, you can load up CAD files, you can import GIS data directly into Geolantis, and you can also export those data formats out from Geolantis once the data has been collected into something else. So you can publish it either export it as a file, a spatial file, or you can publish it as a web service from Geolantis into your GIS system, whatever that might be.
We have a question here. Do you buy the app by modules? Yes, if you go onto our website, you can actually look into the plans and see if that there are various, I guess, tiers of functionality available. So we've structured those in a way that we feel, I guess, kind of supports both small scale users of the product as well as large scale users. And you can go in and actually trial the product if you get in contact with us, and you can go out in the field. If you have a mobile device and a web browser, which most of us do these days, it's very easy. And then if you're looking to actually couple high precision devices, you can go to our help pages, and that they can guide you through how to do that, or get in contact with us.
here's a question: is Geolantis compatible with all devices? Not sure what you mean by all devices. There's different classifications for that, but I guess from a iOS or Android device, yes, it supports both. There is an app in the App Store for both of those, as well as a web application for the system. Then there's a shopping list of the integrations that we have with locating equipment and GNSS antennas and other devices that are used in the field to do the actual data collection and identification stuff. So again, it's one of those questions we'd need to understand what you're doing and then I guess show you what support we have for those various devices that you're using.
There's one more question here, which is this tool only recommended for locators? No. So locators definitely can use this application, but as we kind of went through in our case studies, and I can imagine some of these questions came at various stages during the presentation, so they may already be answered in your minds. But as you can see in the case studies, it can be used from a whole range of different users in the process of asset protection and damage prevention. So it doesn't just have to be field crews, it can be planners and designers. It really has a lot of breadth. Yeah,
absolutely. So I think that's all the questions we've got, Nick. I'd like to bring everybody's attention who's still on the webinar to, there was a post up in the questions by Delissa Francis, who's one of our team members. She's posted the link where you can find all of the, I guess, the material and links to the website and the knowledge base and so forth. So absolutely, highly recommend that you take a look there and share that with anyone in your business who might be interested. And also, of course, reach out directly to myself. I think the next slide will have my contact information.
Yeah, I'll just put it up there now.
And also one of the guys in our team, Michael Brannan. So look, feel free to reach out to either one of us. If you've got any specific questions, by all means, look at the content that we've shared in the webinar. And look, on behalf of Pelican Corp, thank you very much for attending. We hope you've enjoyed the content. Thank you, Nick, for your insight into the application itself.
No problem.
And look, stay tuned, because I think one thing we are looking to do is to do more webinars, which will be focusing in on very specific capabilities of Geolantis. This has obviously been a sort of an initial, I guess, broadcast and share of the broad capability. But we will run smaller, more focused events on this product as we go. So stay tuned and have a great day, everyone. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, everybody, for attending.